Okay, so it looks like we're live and we're ready to go. Anybody that hasn't already, you just okay. So it looks like we're live and we're just drop any questions or comments through into the comments box on the right hand side there. I'll pick them up as we go through, and hopefully we can provide a good session for you today. While I have my screen shared, I'll not be able to see your comments or anything, and that'll just mean that I'll pick up on them as I go whenever I jump back onto my home screen. So yeah, let's get ready to get going. So I'm going to go through and share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm going through today. That'll just take a couple of wee seconds to load up for you. So if I just jump straight back through to the first slide here, so we're going to go through the presentation on driving talent pool engagement and process improvement. So just a couple of things before we start in today. So first of all, in today's webinar, I'm going to show you how to attract a large talent pool of eager candidates and hire the right people quickly. We're going to do this without hiring people that either don't start with your business, don't last long, and we're hopefully going to look at doing this without using recruitment agencies who I believe overcharge for their service and it adds very little value. So just to kind of clarify what I mean there. So the recruitment process and your talent attraction efforts are quite a long process. It takes a long time to get people through into the right mindset of being an employee of yours. And recruitment agencies really take a very small part to play in that process. And so for the extensive fees that it costs you to bring somebody into your business, I really don't believe that that service model adds enough value. Regardless of how much it costs, it doesn't add enough value. If I was paying big fees to bring somebody into my business, I would be looking at an awful lot more value from a service provider. So, got a wee bonus for you today if you stay until the end. It's my latest marketing campaign that I have going on. This is only going out to my Dream 100 list, so the list of 100 clients that I really want to work with. But you can grab your copy today by waiting till the end, and I'll give you information on how you can get that. I'll post it to you absolutely free. And what it is, it's a recruitment marketing funnel building tool. So it gives you a really engaging way of working with your team to be able to build out your recruitment marketing funnel so that you can make sure that you're attracting and engaging people in the best way possible. Along with it, you get a free video course showing you how to use the tool, and you'll be invited to a free webinar to help you use it as well. So this is actually kind of brand new, hot off the press. This was me picking it up yesterday. And that's Janice from Compass Print, the company up in Aberdeen I've been using to print everything up for me. So yeah, wait till the end, get that ordered up, and you'll get loads and loads of really good value from it. There is nothing else like it on the market. So I'm going to ask you very politely for your attention as we're going through this. In any of my training courses I run in people's offices or online, I ask people to turn off their cell phones. I ask people to turn off their Facebook and stop getting all those annoying notifications through. And then, well, I suppose if you're a recruitment leader and you're actually serious about improving your recruitment function through data-driven talent acquisition, the next hour or so is going to change the way that you look at recruitment. If you're already doing the stuff that I'm talking about, big bonus for you. But many companies out there aren't taking their strategies to this level yet. So hopefully you'll be able to get some value from what we're talking about today. So why am I presenting this to you? Well, I'm Ian Hamilton. I'm an experienced talent strategist. Wow, it sounds a very guru-y sort of title, that. Yeah, I suppose what it means is that I've spent my whole career involved in recruiting, either as a hiring manager, agency recruiter, or in-house talent acquisition manager. I've worked across a large number of different industries, so anything right the way from hospitality to construction to engineering to renewables to oil and gas to energy, right across the board. While I've been working through, I've also been attracting people with many different skill sets and backgrounds. So that's engineering through to any of your business support functions like accountancy, leadership, HR, right the way across the board. And then into construction, looking to I've also kind of recruited for waiters and waitresses and restaurant managers, all sorts of stuff. So I've applied each of these sorts of theories and strategies I'm going to share today right across all of them, and they work. I've managed recruitment functions for small businesses right up to FTSE 100 businesses. So again, I've applied it right across the board. So what I'm talking about is relevant for large and small businesses. I am a public speaker. I do fairly regular public speaking on recruitment strategy, and I'm also a partner to one of the most disruptive recruitment technology businesses in the world. If you're more interested in what's going on in disruption in recruitment technology, just drop me a line. I'm more than happy to give you the inside on what's happening. I've saved businesses up to $17 million. That's one business up to $17 million in the course of a year by implementing an in-house talent acquisition and management strategy. But I've worked with many other businesses and saved various amounts of right across the time. But that $17 million really is the headline figure. It's the biggest project that I've worked on yet. By day, I'm a biker, and I'm a father of one great son. So if you follow me on Facebook or if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see he quite regularly features in some of my videos as I'm really just kind of talking to my phone about what's going on in my entrepreneurial life. And I suppose one of the biggest things about me is I don't believe recruitment is about those little black books. So I was an agency recruiter. I had a little black book of candidates. They're now known as applicant tracking systems. I don't believe that's what it's about. I believe recruitment is much more about attracting talent pools with your brand, engaging talent pools to make sure that people self-select and deselect depending on whether they're suitable for a company or not. And it's much more about making sure that people see you as an employer of choice. So a little black book is great for an agency, but that little black book may never have engaged with your brand before. And so it makes it really difficult for you to actually engage those people with your brand. And we'll cover an awful lot more about that sort of recruitment process in a short while. So a couple of things that I've worked through my whole career, and I've asked myself a few questions, and I've kind of put them down on this slide for you in this webinar today. So a couple of questions. So what would your job be like whenever you have a large talent pool of eager candidates and you're able to hire them quickly? I suppose that's the utopia for any recruitment professional. And I've got there several times with several different methods and means. So what would your job be like if you had that? It'd be an awful lot easier, and you could become more strategically aligned with the business. And I'm sure that you would be much more likely to get that seat at the top table. What if you never had to worry about hiring people that either don't start or don't last long within your business? Now, clearly, you're never going to completely eradicate this, but you're going to stop worrying about it, because what you're going to do is you're going to engage people with your employer brand. You're going to understand how engaged with your recruitment process and how engaged they are with your employer brand. And all of a sudden, you're going to be able to weed out the people that don't really care. They're just going for a pay rise, and they'll quickly accept a counter offer from their current employer. So you'll be able to weed out all that. So hopefully we're going to get to a stage where we can forget using agencies, because we all know that we can do it an awful lot more cost efficient. That is fact. That's not you know, that's not make believe or anything. The $17 million we saved the business was by doing exactly that. We completely removed agencies from the business altogether and did an awful lot better job using our in-house recruitment team. Now, don't get me wrong, it sounds like I'm very anti-agency. I have been an agency recruiter. I know an awful lot of agency recruiters. I'm good friends with a lot of agency recruiters. I know they're good. I know they do a great job, but I believe the service model isn't the best it can be. And I believe that you could do an awful lot more with your own employer brand by taking control of your own recruitment function. So what will it be like when you know you have a pipeline of talent that continually moves closer to your business? So visualize having the information on a screen in front of you, and you know exactly who is in that pipeline, how hire ready they are, and you know that they're continually moving closer. So that would be pretty special. And how about when you really know precisely who your next hire will be? And that whenever I say next hire, your next hires, so you know the group of people that are most engaged with what you're doing and are most likely to be hire ready. So that's going to be all pretty special for you, and it's definitely not out of reach of anybody. This is very doable for any business. It just needs a few tweaks in the strategies and the methods that you use for the different types of businesses, but it's definitely very doable. So some of the results that I've seen as I've gone through, just to give you a bit of an idea. So we saved an oil and gas business up in Aberdeen, $17 million. That was through removing agencies, through taking our contractors in-house, and taking control of our own employer brand. To save that $17 million, we spent a bit of money, of course we did. We invested in systems like LinkedIn Recruiter and all that, but that was discounted off the savings. So the $17 million is the total amount of money that we saved this business. It got an awful lot more impactful from that though, because we actually reduced the time to hire by over 60%, which meant we were billing for an employer much quicker. So that was pretty special. We saved an SME down in Glasgow 150K in a recruitment campaign that lasted about a year to double the size of their business. So that was pretty impressive. And we are at the minute working on saving a manufacturing company roughly $60 million. So they employ in excess of 50,000 people around the world, use a lot of agencies, have a decentralized recruitment function, and we're helping them bring that all into a centralized function that'll really kind of be able to do a fantastic job. And they're making awesome progress at that already. So that's pretty cool. And then I suppose the smallest of the statistics, but probably one of the most shocking. So we ran a campaign a little while back for a construction company to recruit electricians, and we were receiving our candidates at a cost of 70p per qualified candidate. So that's per person that was definitely right for the job. Applying for the job was only costing us 70 pence. So you can see there that that has a massive impact on your cost per hire. So that was pretty special. So just to give you an idea, these results aren't typical. I'm going to walk you through a few of the systems and methodologies that I use to get these results, but they are not typical. I run these classes pretty regularly, and a lot of the companies that go through this class get no results whatsoever because they go away and try to do it in a piecemeal way and do bits and bobs, but never really dive into it. If you want to see impact, like what I've talked about already, you need to absolutely dive in there. And well, yeah, however, I am happy to share this with you for free. I'm going to show you exactly what's working for me. Well, I'm sharing this for free, and I suppose with your permission, I'm hoping that you'll hang about till the end, because I am going to tell you about a service that we've got that could help you really get started pretty quickly on all of this. But the rest of this presentation really is about giving you as much information and value as possible so that you can do it yourself if you want to. So what we're going to cover, we're going to part one, we're going to cover why social is great, but you need to own your own data. We're going to cover how job adverts don't educate, and then we're going to go through some case studies. We are already 20 minutes in here, so we're going to have to be pretty quick as we work through. So let's jump straight into part one. So part one, we're going to talk all about how to focus on the total addressable market. Because most recruitment leaders think the best way to hire is to use social media. But there's a real challenge with that because you never really own what you're doing on social media. Facebook and LinkedIn owns it. But actually, it's much more important to own your own data. And we'll talk a wee bit more about that in a minute. So what do I mean? Well, let's have a quick talk about what most companies do and the size of the market that you need to go after, where to find the talent, and the benefits and the compounding effect and the benefits of the compounding effect. So first of all, I want you to think of this circle on your screen as the total addressable market. So if you hire for engineers out in the Middle East, or if you hire for accountants in the UK, think of this as your total addressable market, every single person there is that you could potentially hire. Well, what most companies have is they have either a spreadsheet or an applicant tracking system that has some of this talent pool on it, a very small amount of this talent pool on it, something like this. Now, LinkedIn call this your talent brand index, and LinkedIn see that many companies engage with less than 10% of their total addressable market. And this makes it really challenging because it means that you're only engaging with people that are actively looking for new jobs. And that means that they are applying to you and all of your competition. Where what you should be doing is you should be trying to address the total addressable market, bring as many of those people onto your systems as possible so you have their data and so that you can communicate with them in a way that you want. So over the course of a project, what you would be looking to do is you would be looking to grow that talent pool to as large as possible. Now, sometimes you'll never actually manage to get the total addressable market, but if you end up with 75, 80, 85, 90% of the people in the total addressable market, then you're going to find that you can communicate with them exactly when you want to. You can put the exact information you want to in front of them, and that's going to make hiring them an awful lot easier. It's going to give you all of the tools you need to do that. So first of all, how do we actually fill up your talent pool with the total addressable market? So of course there's job adverts, but that's only doing a very small job for you. So that is only people that are actively looking for work, and only people that look for work on the websites that you advertise jobs. So if you think how small a segment of the total addressable market that probably is, maybe LinkedIn would say 60% of people are not actively looking for work, so they're not going to be seeing your job adverts. And then think about if you don't advertise in the right place for somebody to see it, you'll never manage to actually get your advert in front of them. So it becomes really challenging and you're attracting a very small pool of people. Definitely, social media is a really strong way of putting your information out in front of everybody. But again, the social networks control how that appears and who that goes in front of. So that's one thing that's going to become ever more challenging, and it's becoming more and more challenging even on LinkedIn at the minute, where they're restricting how many people are seeing your posts, and they're asking you to start paying for people to see your posts, essentially. So that's where paid advertising comes in. So a lot of companies are starting to look at pay-per-click, PPC advertising on the likes of Facebook and LinkedIn as a method of distributing their job adverts to candidates. Now, what you want to understand there is that if you do use PPC advertising to put your adverts out in front of people, you need to have a really strong way of capturing that person's information, their name, email address, and being able to segment them into your applicant tracking system. because if you don't do that, you'll end up spending an awful lot of money on a strategy like this. But we cover a wee bit more about that in a couple of later slides. So what sort of content do we need to think about whenever we're actually doing this attraction piece? So I suppose one of the things that we need to understand is probably 2/3 of the content that you put out there needs to not be about careers. What you want to be doing is you want to be educating people about your business, about the values of your organization, and allowing them to then decide to go forward and look at careers. So how can you do that? Well, we've done great things in the past. So we've helped companies distribute their news, so new contract awards, any company acquisitions, any major leadership changes, all that sort of stuff. We help companies put that in front of their talent pools so that it really engages them. We help companies create thought leadership pieces. So one example of that would be working with the CEO of Wood Group at the time, Bob Keeler. We managed to get him as an influencer on LinkedIn, which meant that he was able to publish content around the values of Wood Group, which then became really engaging for other senior leadership people, and actually made it an awful lot easier for us to go out and recruit executives for the business. And we actually have a case study about that at the end of the presentation. Distributing information about your corporate social responsibility. So things like how you're supporting the communities that you work within can be a really strong way of bringing that feel-good sort of nature to your organization, and can be a really strong way of helping people see you as a company they would want to work for. Then, of course, employee stories is a great way of sharing information about the people that currently work for you, highlighting them as excellent employees, but at the same time, showing potential candidates what it would be like to work for you. And then, I suppose, in everything that we do, we want to have some form of call to action. So in every blog article or every piece of content or piece of news that we put out there, we want to have a call to action on that discreetly somewhere within it. That will be something along the lines of inviting people to join your talent pool, or inviting people to hear first about new jobs. And there's many other call to actions that you can use there, but there's not really enough time to talk through the psychology of that right now. But what you're doing is you're empowering all of the content that you produce to get essentially what are application leads on your applicant tracking system. So these aren't necessarily people that are applying for jobs, but you're capturing data about people so that whenever you want to communicate with them about careers information, then you're able to do that. So that's a bit of an idea around about the total addressable market talent pool that we want to be going after. I suppose I'm going to jump very quickly off here to the comments page to see if anybody's commented, to see if I need to go back over anything. So just let me know if you do. Drop a comment on the web page. Just 2 seconds. Okay, cool. So there's no comments so far. That's just fine. We'll continue forward with the rest of the presentation, and just let me know towards the end if you want me to go back over anything at all. So let's just get on to the next slide here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the benefits and the compounding effect of these benefits. So this is specifically the benefits of going after the total addressable market and of capturing these people on your applicant tracking system. Okay, so this is a typical way that somebody goes about trying to get a job in an organization. And I've gone about this any number of times. The organizations that I was applying to weren't small companies. They were big corporates that should have had fantastic recruitment processes, but unfortunately, it just became very difficult. So typically, somebody starts the process of actually applying for jobs, and they do that by looking on job boards. So the first thing that they do is they apply to a job. And that application goes through to an applicant tracking system. It's very unlikely that the recruiter will pick up on it and hire them on the first instance that they to apply to your company. So then they're going to find a new method. They're maybe going to go through to LinkedIn, and they're going to apply through one of the LinkedIn posts. And then at some stage, they're going to go through to they're going to go through maybe some of your PPC, so your pay-per-click advertising, or another method of advertising, maybe a magazine that you advertise in or a newspaper that you advertise in. And again, their application goes in, but they don't come out on top. And then eventually, they apply through an agency, and the agency supports them in their application, and they get the job, and they become happy. So you can see what we've actually done here is we've created a process that really isn't very good for a candidate, but also one that just starts to cost more and more money. So as we have worked through this process, we've paid for the job advertisement on the job board. We've paid for them to be able to apply. We've paid for the LinkedIn. We've paid for the PPC or the magazine or whatever other method. And then eventually we're going to pay even more again for that person to join our company through an agency. And all of this just means that well, I suppose it means that it costs far too much money, I suppose, is the only thing that I can say there. Now, think about it this way, if in this first instance, we managed to capture this person into our applicant tracking system, and we had a way of using that data. So we have a way of using that data in a way that was useful, that we could record, and that we could engage with them over a period of time. Now, I'm not saying that we're necessarily going to hire them any quicker, because it might take time for them to be the right candidate for us. But what we are able to do is we're able to take them through to the desired result without ever paying for their data ever again. And you can see there immediately that we're able to massively reduce the cost of bringing people into the business, so that we only pay once and we pay the right amount, rather than paying a huge amount over on this side. Now, you might say to me, Ian, this doesn't happen, don't be ridiculous, but this is exactly what happened whenever I joined Wood Group. I joined Wood Group after applying 5 or 6 times. Each time they had to pay for me to be able to apply to their company, because it was through different job boards, through agencies, through their online social media, etc., etc. And eventually I got to a stage where I got the job. And by the time I got the job with Wood Group, I had cost Wood Group way more money than ever should have. So it does happen, and I'm living proof that it happens. And what we were able to do with Wood Group is we were able to implement this process so that we were able to significantly reduce the amount it actually cost us to recruit in the future. But on top of that, not only do you never pay again, but you've got the data in here, and we're able to analyze that data as we go forward. So we're able to see how engaged somebody is with their employer brand. We're able to see where they live, how much, we're able to estimate their salary. We're able to see how engaged they are with their employer brand. And then whenever we want, we're able to actually go out and communicate with them in the way that we want. So we're able to send them the emails so that they receive them exactly whenever we want them to. We're able to control the way content is actually put in front of them, which is really important whenever you're marketing your careers and your employer brand to candidates. And then eventually we're going to get to the stage where we can actually score how engaged they are. So we can track how often they come to our site, how they click on the emails that we send to them, whether they open them. We're able to build up an engagement score to show the people that are really engaged with what you're doing. So let's move on swiftly. So that was part one. That was going after the total addressable market and making that data information that you really can use. And if you start your recruitment strategy with that, then you're going to very quickly start to see the value that I talk about. So part two, so information is so easily found today that your candidates want to be educated about your careers. So no longer is it okay to have a job advert, have somebody apply, and then offer them a job. People want more. They want to know what your company is like. So we're going to talk a bit more about this now. We're going to talk about the importance of intrinsic. We're going to talk about how most recruitment leaders think talent attraction is still about advertising jobs, LinkedIn Recruiter, and actually how information is so easily found that your candidates need to be educated so that you get the best quality talent possible, and not just the people that are applying for every job. So what am I meaning here? So we're going to talk about the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic. So let's talk about that one first. So we have a few statements here. If we read through these are very extrinsic statements, and it's easier to go back to your school days whenever you're thinking about this. So a very extrinsic way of looking at things is studying because you want to get a good grade. That grade is awarded to you by somebody else. Extrinsic. Cleaning your room to avoid being reprimanded by your parents. Again, the person reprimanding you is not yourself. The drive to do is not internal, so it's an extrinsic drive that you have for cleaning your room. Participating in a sport to win awards, well, again, it's extrinsic because it's an external influence that's awarding you. And then competing in a contest to win a scholarship, again, it's an external body that awards a scholarship, so this is a very extrinsic way of looking at things. And this will all become a bit clearer shortly. Let's look at intrinsic. So participating in a sport because you find the activity enjoyable. So whether you're getting awards or not, it doesn't matter. You enjoy it. It's kind of like the way I play golf. I enjoy playing it, but I'm a terrible player. I'm never going to win anything. But I still get out there and do it because I enjoy it. So solving a word puzzle because you find the challenge fun and exciting. That's just because your feelings are driving you to do it. And again, playing a game because you find it exciting, not because you're being awarded anything. So these are very intrinsic statements. And again, we'll talk a wee bit more about this shortly. So that was the difference between extrinsic and intrinsic. So I want to talk a wee bit now about the importance of intrinsic. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about an extrinsic recruitment process and an intrinsic recruitment process. So an extrinsic recruitment process starts with somebody finding your job advert and applying. Then they get an interview, and then they get a yes or a no whether they would like to be hired or not. And of course, they say yes or no to accepting the offer or not. Excuse me. That's very simple, sounds easy, sounds like a nice way to have it. Unfortunately, that doesn't answer any of the intrinsic desires that somebody has about starting a new career. So let's look at the intrinsic recruitment process. You still have the same apply, interview, and yes, no, but within an intrinsic process, you box that off and you call that talent acquisition. Okay, so that's acquiring talent. That's the recruitment process. But then we need to pay credence to the intrinsic desires that people have. So what they want to know before they change career. That's going to cover things like the culture of the organization. Do they agree with the culture? Will they fit in with the culture? What corporate social responsibility the organization does. So do they actually support the communities and areas that they work within? Do they have that warm and fuzzy feeling that people want these days as an employer? Will they fit in with the team? Who is the team? What way does the team work? All of these stuff that really make me feel an awful lot more comfortable if I knew about before joining a business. So value, what value will the company add to me and my career? And what value will I add to them? If those things aren't defined, then I'm a wee bit confused as to why I'm accepting a job with a business. Excitement. Well, we all need excitement in our lives. We want to know what excitement is actually going to be brought about by joining a business. And then, of course, the career. Will my career progress within this organization? These are all things that are really important to today's job seeker. And that's not an all-inclusive list. There is a lot more, but we'll call it a day there. So you can see within the extrinsic recruitment process, the only driving factors that you have really are salary, role level, and location. If all of those are right, well, yeah, I suppose I'll apply for it. But within an intrinsic recruitment process, all of your drivers are all of the stuff that's above the talent acquisition stage. Okay, so this is your employer branding and your recruitment marketing. Help people to understand your culture, CSR, team, value, excitement, career, and many other things. So those are all of the intrinsic drivers that are going to encourage people towards your organization. Of course, they're still going to consider the salary, role, and location, but you're giving them so much more reason to actually want to work for you. And that's going to create a really strong flow of people towards your business and a flow of the right people. Because if people don't agree with the drivers, they will self-exclude themselves from the recruitment process. So I hope that explains a bit more about an extrinsic vs an intrinsic recruitment process. So let's talk about how intrinsic funnels supercharge talent acquisition. Really kind of, again, getting a wee bit kind of guru here, but it really does supercharge it, so there's really no other way to put it. And let's talk about the benefits of that. So again, this is your extrinsic recruitment funnel. It's very actions based. Somebody visiting your site, applying, interviewing, offering, hiring. Okay, that's not the way a recruitment funnel should be. That's a recruitment process. Let's look towards what a recruitment funnel, an intrinsically based recruitment funnel, should look like. So whenever we're attracting people into our intrinsic recruitment funnel, we are very much bringing them in through all of our recruitment marketing activities into our applicant tracking system or well, CRM, whatever you want to call it, your recruitment marketing system. Bring them in, and we're starting by getting that awareness of your brand and the benefits of working in your organization. We then go through into educating them about the real reasons they would want to work with us, the values, the culture, the ethos of the organization, the value they would provide, etc., etc. And then we help them again with content, consider if they are right for us and we are right for them. And only at that stage do we hit this talent acquisition stage. And that's really important, because that means that all through this time here, we have been educating people more and more about why they would want to work for our business. The people that are still in at the consideration stage are really likely to be hire ready for you. And whenever we get them into the talent acquisition team, they're going to be able to understand enough about your organization to know that you are an employer of choice. And this is where the recruiter comes in to give them the details of the job, the location, the salary, etc., and to convert them over the line into an applicant that actually applies for a job, gets interviewed, and then progresses through into an employee of the business. So if we, over a period of time, manage to understand what our workforce plan is, we then use that workforce plan to drive the generation of candidates into our marketing system. And then we work them through our marketing system to a stage where they are ready to be approached and hired by our talent acquisition team. We can then very clearly say, well, if there's 500 people in our total addressable market, we want to understand where each person is going through our funnel. So we could then very quickly say, well, we have 300 people at the awareness stage. We have 100 people within the education stage. We have 75 people considering jobs with us, and we have 25 actually going through the recruitment process at the minute. So you can see that if our workforce plan told us we had a certain number of people, we could then very simply just speed up our recruitment marketing and bring more people in if we were going through a hiring boom. Or we could slow it down a bit and just keep the people in our funnel warm if we weren't going to need that many people in the near future. So you can see how that would have a massive impact on how you recruit within your organization. So let's talk about a couple of case studies. And this is a pretty quick part, so we'll rattle through it as quickly as possible. So within these case studies, I'm going to show you a few things. I'm going to show you about how using the total addressable market and intrinsic funnels supercharge that recruitment process. Again, most recruitment leaders think that it's a talent-driven market, that employers are having to, are almost begging for talent to join their organization in a lot of industries. That's just not true. Actually, employers are in control of the process, but only if they influence people and provide enough information to allow people to make the right decisions. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's go through a few case studies to explain it a bit more. So first one we're going to go through is a FTSE 100 business. Then we're going to talk about a trades case study, and then we're going to talk about an executive within an engineering business. Excuse me. So first of all, whenever I started working with this FTSE 100 business, so at the beginning there was no centralized recruitment function. Reasonable usage of recruitment agencies resulted in anywhere between 20 and 80% of hires incurring third-party agency costs. But also we had a large internal recruitment team, which meant that we were almost kind of double spending because we were using lots of recruitment agencies and paying lots of recruiters' salaries. So it was a bit crazy. So the total cost savings of this was around about £10 million through removing both temporary and permanent agency usage. The reduction in time to offer accepted of 80%, recruiting people on average 70 days quicker than ever before. So that was pretty crazy for the company because a lot of the people we recruited were reimbursable. As a service provider, it was largely reimbursable. So that meant we were recruiting people and billing for them 70 days quicker than ever before. So there was an increase of revenue to the business as well there. Now, at one stage, we had a peak hire rate of 1,400 people per month, which resulted in around about 13,000 per year joining the business. So it was no small task is what I'm trying to say here. So how did we do that? Well, the first thing that we did was we went through the plan, attract, engage, recruit. So we put a workforce plan in place. We did research around that workforce plan, which created a gap analysis. So we knew exactly what we were going to need in the future and what we needed to approach. And then we did research around what interested our talent pools and how we can engage with them. The next thing that we did was we went out to social. And again, only 1/3 of our social stuff was jobs. 2/3 of it was completely non-careers related. Of course, we used job adverts. And of course, we went to industry events and held our own recruitment events. Once we had attracted people into our system, we engaged them over a period of time using our database, using email sequences, using our team of recruiters to phone people and provide updates and to really get engaged with them. And then we took them to the TA team, to the talent acquisition team, and recruited them in. We did that through a lean process, so it was quick and easy as possible. And then we made sure they experienced some awesome onboarding whenever they joined the business, so that it didn't just all fall flat whenever they joined. So that's a brief overview of how we did it with a FTSE 100 business. The next one is construction. So this company was needing to regularly attract electricians to satisfy demand and a seasonally high turnover of staff and contractors. So what we were able to do here was we were able to build a talent pool to fill all the positions within 1 month, but also we were able to have a talent pool that filled future jobs as well. So the talent pool, the size of that talent pool is now driven by the workforce plan. So I know if I need 10 electricians in the next year, I need a certain number of people in our talent pool. And this is the example where we're receiving candidates for as little as 70 pence per qualified tradesperson. So this isn't just somebody applying for a job. This is the right person applying for the job is only costing us 70p. So how are we doing that? Well, we use some really, really advanced targeting on our Facebook advertising. We use that Facebook ad to drive that person into the company's Facebook Messenger, where we use a bot to engage with that person, to ask them questions, to segment them in our talent pool. We then push that information to our applicant tracking system so that we have all of that information and we can engage with them in the future, and then we bring them through to the hire. It's ultra quick and it's ultra cheap. And one of the things that I think is going to really start to change the way recruitment works is Facebook and the way their advertising works. Next case study was the executive hire. So we were recruiting for senior management and C-level execs, so top of the tree. So we were looking for these people to drive behavior change and improve service delivery. A couple of the ways that we were able to do this, so we got our CEO to do an awful lot of blogs on the company's values and the sorts of things that true leaders think of. We were able to get him onto LinkedIn as an influencer. And whenever we did that, because he was a pretty high-flying person, he got an awful lot of engagement and an awful lot of people commenting and liking his articles. Through that, we filled several exec placements without using any agency or headhunters. Now, in the past, we had paid a research company to do our research. We had then handed that research to a headhunter to do the headhunting, and it was just costing money after money after money. I remember one campaign costing us in excess of £20,000 before we even got to the recruit stage, and we didn't hire anybody from that. And that's why we needed to change so badly in this company. So how did we do that? So CEO created a blog. People commented on that blog. The exec recruiter then went out and researched each of the people that was commenting, and the people that were suitable for jobs, that exec recruiter contacted them and started to bring them through a really engaging recruitment process, and that's what gave us hires. So you can see it's not difficult stuff we're doing here, but it has to be set up in the right way, and there has to be the right systems in place to do it. So it was a really fantastic goal or big win that we had in that company to drive such fantastic kind of reduction in cost per hire for our C-level execs. So how are we enjoying the webinar so far? I hope everything's going okay. I hope nobody's asleep yet, and I hope that you don't mind me going on again. With your permission, I'll tell you a wee bit about one of the services that we provide that can really get you kick-started in some of the strategies that I've talked through today. But first of all, what we've covered. So part one, we've covered around how it's so important that you own your own data. We've covered how information is so easily found that we really need to use those intrinsic recruitment funnels to drive the right people towards our business. And then we've shown how employers are in control of the process and how they influence every decision made, but we need to change the ways we do that with different types of people that we are hiring, and using innovation to kind of create new ways to attract people and engage people all the time will be the way that you really drive improvement in your business. So again, with your permission, I would like to introduce the Pathfinder service. Okay, so this is all around recruitment process consulting, but it's just a Pathfinder service, so it's not, it's the start of it, but providing a service to you that will really allow you to get kick-started in your own journey rather than hiring somebody to do it all for you. So really, it's all about helping you attract a large talent pool of eager candidates and hire the right people fast. Again, without hiring the people that won't last or won't last long in your business, and without using agencies to do it. So this is about providing long-term value for your organization within a short-term project. So this is what we do. So we give you the ability to engage the total addressable market. We do the research, we provide the systems, and we give you all of the information that you need to approach people going forward in the future and during the project. So we give you an awful lot of intelligence into your employer brand and how people are interacting with it. We track everything we do, so we'll provide all of that information to you. We'll provide you a list of the most hire-ready people, so you know who to go out and engage with immediately. And well, you are going to get hires out of this. That's without a doubt. And then you get all of the data for future use. Okay. Now, if you only got that, well, hey, it really would pay for itself, without a doubt. But there's a couple of I call them bonuses in these slides, but they're not really bonuses. It's just stuff that we have to do, but it adds value to what we're doing. So we do an employer branding audit, and we help you with content generation if required. And that's really important because with us doing this total addressable market piece of the project and engaging with the people in that market, we really need your employer brand to be right and the content to be right. So we do this for you as part of the project. So that's literally, any agency that comes to you will be starting at the 10 grand value. You'll not get it for anywhere less than that. So that's pretty valuable stuff. So even if it was only that you got, it would be self-funding. So the bonus 2, so the recruitment marketing audit. So again, we do a complete audit on all of the channels that you're using to attract people. And that's a really powerful one because it's going to help us put the right information in the right places for people to find. And again, that sort of audit is expensive. You're going to ask a company to do that, and I don't even know if you would get it for anywhere near 1.5K, but hey, that's the value that we've put on that. And that's going to help you break old habits more than anything. So it's not about advertising jobs anymore. It's about engaging with people. And that recruitment marketing audit will help you break those old habits and move forward into the future. And then number 3, well, this is a recruitment tech stack audit. So a tech stack is all of the bits of technology that you use to attract people. So we do the audit, we make sure they're all hooked together properly to provide all the data and analytics you need in the future. And then we make sure that you've got that going forward. So that's a really valuable one. That one's not so expensive, so it's not, but it's got an awful lot of value to it. And that's going to be able to do the us, these, them. So whenever agencies come to you and say, oh, we've got this size of talent pool, we can communicate with this many people for you. Well, to be honest, you're going to be able to say, well, we've got at least that, if not more. We know who they are. We know how to communicate with them. And we do regularly communicate with them with our brand. So it's going to make it that, you're going to be able to actually provide more value to yourself than any external provider would be able to provide. And that's going to become pretty powerful for your business. So here, again, here's what you would get with it. You would get the ability to engage the total addressable market. So with that, literally access to databases on job boards. We've had contracts for over 100K a year for that before, which is just crazy. So we're providing this within the project. We're giving the intelligence on the employer brand, which is just priceless, so you know exactly what you need to do in the future. We're giving you a list of the most hire-ready people. So again, we paid research businesses up to 20K just to provide a list of names and contact details for people like that. And then hires, well, if you only make one hire out of that, then at a 5K per hire value, you're almost making your money back already. And then all this data is available for you to use in the future without any future costs. It's owned by you. So that's pretty powerful. If you add all of that up, you're easily sitting around about the 125K mark. But because we work on our completely different service model, and because we're not a recruitment agency, we're able to deliver this on a time basis, and so it costs you an awful lot less. So for that information alone, what we're able to, you know, it kind of makes it easy to decide that you would use the Pathfinder service. The typical project only costs around about 8K. Now, if you're a much larger business and you want to go after a much larger talent pool, it'll cost a bit more. If you're a much smaller business, again, we did one recently that was in around about the 3.5K mark for a small accountancy firm. But, you know, so that just gives you a bit of an average value of what a service like this would cost. So hopefully you can see how much value that we're actually providing there, and how much sense it would make. So if you want to have a look at that, just go on to peopletraction.co.uk/Pathfinder. You'll see you'll be able to book a meeting with me directly on that page. Now, the Pathfinder service is not suitable for every business. So we do have a qualification meeting to make sure that the goals and the values that you have within your organization actually match with what we're able to do. So there's no kind of commitment until we've passed that. So yeah, book a call in with me, and we can have a chat over, see what you want to do, and if Pathfinder service fits. So either do that or continue on what you're doing now. Those are your two choices. So for anybody that actually stayed long enough to see this, for those of you stuck around and you want the free #TA hack recruitment funnel builder that I promised you, then email me. Oh, because my link's not coming up. So my email is ian.hamilton@peopletraction.co.uk. Stick an email through to me with your address, and I'll email one of these packs out to you, and then I'll send all of the videos and invite you to the webinar on how to use it. And yeah, like literally, this is the most value-added marketing campaign I've ever provided. I'm actually questioning myself on how much value I'm providing in it and whether I'm wise in doing so, but hey, we'll see how it works out. So thank you very much for sticking about for the webinar today. Thanks so much for coming along. I hope I provided loads of value to you there. If you thought it was great, email me. If you thought it sucked, email me, tell me. You know, kind of feedback is really important for me. And yeah, I'll probably be in touch with you within the next couple of days to see what you thought anyway. So thanks so much for coming along, and I look forward to speaking to you. Cheers. Bye now.